Well, hey there everyone, it's Laurel here today with another collaboration video with my friend Justine Hovey and also JD from It's Me JD. Super excited. We are all going to be talking about layering stamps, dies, stencils, any kind of products that you layer. For me, I'm going to be focusing on a layering stamp set from Altenew. Layering stamps, full disclosure, are hard for me. I am like layering stamp challenged. So I thought this video would be helpful, showing you some tips and tricks on how I found a way to use layering stamps and get a perfect result. Are you ready? So the Altenew stamps come with a layering guide. It's on the back of the stamp or always available on their website for downloading. And tip number one is to take the stamp and line it up like it appears on the layering guide. So I'm looking at that stamp, I'm finding the image that's showing at the top of the layering guide and lining it up exactly how it appears on the layering guide onto my card. It's going to be helpful when I go through each step of the layering. I hope that made sense. Tip number two is use a stamp positioner. I am using the MISTI stamping tool. It will help with perfect placement every time. If you don't have that, you can use an acrylic block. You'll just have to be a little bit more careful. I'm going to be creating the layering stamp, and instead of using inks, I'm going to use these watercolor brush markers from Altenew. It's from the Spring Garden collection. The first image that I'm stamping is the base image, and I'm just stamping that in black ink, okay, because that's going to be my base. And then you're going to want to start layering from light to dark. So I'll be taking that in mind, keeping that in mind when I start adding the color. So here I am, I'm looking at the layering guide. It's always going to be next to me. I'm layering it up. It gives you the little colored lines. You see the little colored lines on there. It's telling me where to layer it up. So I was able to line that up very easily. I'm scribbling on this yellow colored, I think it's Warm Sunshine, directly onto the stamp. You can kind of spritz a little bit of water or not. It's totally up to you depending on what you want to do. I am working on Bristol paper, by the way, because I'm using a water color for my coloring. You know, watercolor cardstock or Bristol paper is best. So I clean my layering stamp off as I go, because if I don't, then it's a big hot mess and I smudge my cards and whatever. Are you with me? So here I am going on to layering step number 3. Again, since I've got everything lined up the same way that it appears on the guide, I'm able to easily identify the layering lines that it gives you on the guideline. You can also just look through the stamp. Sometimes that's easier than referring to the layering guide, because sometimes, you know, I get confused. It's true. I mean, what else is new? So here I am going with an orange. I scribbled it on, and there you go. I just love how this is looking. I'm keeping it all in kind of the yellow to orange to red color family. I did another card and I put all these different colors in here, and it was probably the ugliest flower I've ever seen. So keep that in mind too. When you're layering, make sure you have colors that complement each other. Okay, here is the first solid image that this was super easy to lay up because it basically covers up what's not colored on the flower right now. You feel me? You get me? Probably not. So I went ahead and colored that up with, I forget the name of the colors of the markers, but all the supplies are linked below. Then there was this like missing, look at that little stamp set right there. I'm like, what is that? What is happening there? They were both labeled B1, which Altenew and the newer layering stamps, they started to label their stamps. That was labeled B1, but it wasn't on the layering guide. So I'm like, what is this? And then I found that it went directly in that flower. It couldn't fit on the other layering stamp. That was not on the layering guide, so there's a free tip. It took me like 20 minutes. Probably would take you 20 seconds to figure out where that went, but I didn't know what it was. Whatever. So here I am going into, this is the part, this is the image that kind of adds dimension to the flowers. You could stamp this with a color, a black, a white, heat emboss, whatever floats your boat. There's really kind of a lot of opportunity here to kind of get some good shadow. I decided to go in with a red and purple marker from that set, and I'll go ahead and stamp it down. And then it's just looking so beautiful. And the MISTI, see, that's where the MISTI saves me, because I'm able to double stamp if I need to or add more color. Now I'm going in with the leaf layering stamp, which is super easy because you just line it up with the leaves. You know what I'm saying? Now that one's easy. So I'm again going with a green marker, coloring it on there. I decided to flick on some blue, whatever. I'm just having a good old time here. And then pressing it down. You can add water, not add water. It really totally up to you what you want to do. Don't add too much water because you don't want all the colors kind of bleeding into each other. But I wanted to show you that you could use your markers, your watercolor. You don't have to use inks with layering. just don't inundate it with water. So there's these little like dotty images, and those go in the center of the flowers. So I was just able to figure out which one goes with which. And I'm going in and inking that up with some embossing ink. And now, let's see, what am I doing here? So I'm going in, there's four of those little centers, if you will. So again, embossing ink, I'm stamping it down. If you mess up here, it's really not a big deal, I promise. Now I'm going to go in and sprinkle on some embossing powder. Now the original ink that I used was that VersaFine Clair, which does say wet a little bit longer. Some of the embossing powder stuck to that ink, but I actually thought it was cool, so I wiped some of it away with a dry brush, and then I left some of it to get that beautiful sparkly look here. Take a look. See, so I've got all this embossing kind of sprinkled in there in addition to the center of the florals. So I thought that was really cool. I went ahead and die cut this flower out with a die set, with a die cut, not a die set, one flower, one die. And I've got this paper from Tonic Studios. It is gorgeous. It is shiny. It is textured, and I love it. But I decided I needed to tie in some of that pink from the flower. So I grabbed some of the embellishment mousse from Tonic. It's a pink color. And went ahead and went right over the top of that just to add some pink. So the beautiful color and texture from that cardstock still shines through, but now I've added a little bit of pink to it to tie everything together. I'm adding a ton of foam dimension on the back. Look how ugly that is, that foam dimension. I'm glad you don't see any of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop that onto my card base. Making sure it's good. I'm happy. Are we happy? This is awesome. And here's this look. Oh, look, my sentiment, my happy. So here's a look at this finished card. It's beautiful. It's sparkly. It's shiny. It's textured-y. It's layered. I love it. I love it. Now I'm going to use the leftovers. That's a strip of that beautiful textured cardstock. And then I'm going to use the negative space of the die cut to kind of figure out where I'm going to stamp that base image of the floral. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to stamp the base image in that same black VersaFine Clair ink. It's water friendly, so I'm able to do some more watercoloring. I'll show you in a minute. And that's still Bristol paper. So I'm able to get, you know, a 2-for-1, baby. So I'm going to take the same markers, and I pulled the other card in because I wanted to use the same colors. I wanted it to kind of coordinate it. So I'm just scribbling. Look how messy this is. Look how ugly this is. I'm with you, but man, it's pretty. And I wanted to show you that you can get soft looks from the same exact color. See how vibrant and pretty the colors to the left is? Well, once I go ahead and spray some water, and then I'm going to take a cloth and dab some of the color away and lighten it up, look at the soft, pretty look that I get from the same exact colors that I used on the other card. Okay, so here's why I kind of lined up the stamp. I used the negative space to line up the stamp. It's going to make adhering this panel easy. So I'm adding a whole bunch more foam dimension. I have that big, huge tub of big, huge ring of double-sided Scotch tape. And I go through that like no one's business. It's as big as my face when it comes to me. It's not anymore because I use it so much. And then I'm able to easily line that up. The back of the card is quite ugly, but that's all right. I'm going to adhere it to the same kind of card base that I used for the other card. That's some Nouveau glue. It's super strong. It's got a chisel tip, and I'm able to just apply that right down. Nobody's going to see how ugly the back of that card is, except for you, because I just showed you. Alrighty then. So here's the card. I thought it needed a little something, something, something. So I went ahead and got some of the Altenew spray and just sprayed a little bit of that sea glass color and then dabbed some of it away because I wanted to keep the colors soft. So now you see how to get soft colors. Just dab it away. I'm sure you knew that. And here's a look at this card. I love how the stamped image is kind of inset into it and everything else is popped up. I used some leftover paper from the other card and I'm good to go. Simple stamp set on that one as well. Hello and my happy. And those are the two cards for today with your layering stamps. So no fuss layering. I hope you found these tips helpful. Let me know if you did in the comments below. Let me know which card you liked the best. And be sure to check the description below for the links to Justine and JD's video, because again, this is a collaboration. So be sure to check out what they made as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.